What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today I'm going to hit you up with my thoughts and opinions on this new album from EARTHGANG called Mirrorland. Now, EARTHGANG is a hip hop duo coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. They're signed to Dreamville, and this duo is made up of Johnny Venus and Dr. Dot. They gained plenty of attention over the past couple of years through their tapes, EPs, and features, so I did find them to be pretty good artists, and I think they especially stole the show on Revenge of the Dreamers 3, where they did have the song Swivel, which is actually featured on here. Kind of a light and groovy track. They were getting into some cool content here about paranoia and keeping your head on the swivel, so that was one of the standout moments on that compilation, although it wasn't really a track that I came back to a lot either, if you feel what I'm saying. Now, personally, I didn't dive deep into their catalog leading up to this project. I just heard them here and there and I was kind of interested, so I can't really speak on their past work in regards to their growth and what they've done. But one thing I will say about this one is that you're going to pick up on a lot of influences, which I will speak on a bit later, and there were some things here that did hold this project back from being one of my yearly favorites. But we are going to start with the good stuff first because that's the way to do it. Now, I was immediately drawn in by the intro track, Lala Challenge. This beat almost has like a fantasy, whimsical feel to it as it builds up very slowly with thick bass and sprinkled keys, and I would put this as one of my favorite tracks, even though I didn't need that fucking chicken wing interlude right in the middle of the song, man. Sometimes I hate when tracks do that. You're getting to the vibe of a song, then you just have some obnoxious interlude, somebody just talking a bunch of dumb shit, and it's like, why? If I'm sitting at home listening to this, or I'm in my car listening to it, I don't have to stop and fast forward through this shit, man. Just paste that as a separate interlude or something somewhere. Don't put it in the middle of the track. I know, I'm just giving you a minor gripe, but it is what it is, man. In spite of that, I really like the interesting vocal styles these two have. That's something that I think steals the show throughout this project. Very wild and untamed, like they're just free with the way that they rap and sing. Very cool, especially on that outro where the instrumental picks up into full swing and they're just vocalizing and harmonizing, doing all kinds of crazy shit. So I really like that, and I also like that first verse from Johnny Venus where he's just speaking on authenticity in the game. You got all these people who are claiming they're gangsters and trappers, but probably only 1 in 10 is actually about that life. So that was something that kind of stuck out to me, and I think we all know people like that who are faking the funk, but they ain't really about that life. So that was a good way to kick the project off. The following song, Up, keeps the momentum going with bass that is just thicker than Leighton Benton, as well as more of those crazy vocal styles. I just like the way they stack their layers, you know what I mean? When you listen to the shit in headphones, you're going to hear all kinds of little layers with their voices. Just the way they mix them together and blend them are really exciting and cool. So that was something I liked most about this project, and I hope they do continue to run with that because that is something that does set them apart. Then you get the song Top Down. This has thick bass as well and this really cool, light and breezy hook where the guitar comes in. These were some of my favorite tracks on here. That hook on Top Down is just going to get stuck in your head. As soon as you hear it, you won't be able to get it out of there. And even though the song Bank is kind of generic, like this just sounds like a very typical banger in 2019, that bass hits harder than a Mike Tyson uppercut to your fucking sternum, man. That shit is great as far as just wanting an all-out banger. So I think this project really started off strong, but as it went on, it really did start to taper off, and I will talk about some of those songs and moments that I didn't really care for. I just found as I listened through this album that I was reminded of so many classic Southern groups, man. This is that traditional Southern fried hip-hop duo hip-hop, man. Talking about groups like Nappy Roots and Goody Mob. Obviously, they're not duos. There's more people in those groups, but just reminded me of that style, as well as even Field Mob. And of course, the group that they constantly get compared to and everyone is talking about in regards to EARTHGANG in this album, I'm talking about Outkast, Andre 3000, and Big Boy. So I will say that, having these comparisons obviously isn't a bad thing. Everyone has their influences, and these are all great groups that everyone likes. But there are moments where that influence is so heavy that it can be a little bit irritating and almost come across as some Andre 3000 karaoke. Like on the song Avenue, for example, although I gotta shout out that Niecy Nash bar because she is just thicker than the warmest oatmeal, so I understand what he was saying about that fantasy. That was cool. And the song Stuck pretty much sounds like Three Stacks karaoke in particular. You even get Aaron Ray on here with some of the worst vocals I've heard this year. The shit is just so overproduced. Sounds like a fucking transformer being drowned in a bucket of Energon, so that track unfortunately had to be my least favorite. I really didn't like that. I just thought that part from him was awful, so it is what it is. But where the Outkast and especially the Three Stacks comparison really comes to an end is when it comes to one of my main issues with this project, and that is the songwriting and content, man. People keep comparing these guys to Outkast when Andre is way more poignant and poetic with his storytelling. I feel like they're also kind of downplaying Big Boy. Like, Big Boy always gets downplayed when people talk about Outkast, but he more than carried his own weight, man. He had great hooks, amazing flows, amazing lyricism. I don't know why he isn't put up there as much as Andre is, especially when you consider Big Boy has done some solo work too. I just ride hard for Big Boy, even though I didn't like his last album, but god damn it, Big Boy held his fucking own in Outkast, man. Stop the bullshit. Stop acting like Andre was the only one carrying Outkast, because Big Boy is dope too. But for the most part, when people are drawing these Outkast comparisons, they are drawing it towards Andre. And you know what? I'm not going to say they're not saying anything on here. There are certainly some moments, like on the song Fields, where they're talking about their love for Atlanta. Then on Wings, there's the struggles of always being away from home. This side, that's a light and groovy joint that deals with haters and paranoia. There are moments on here where they are saying things. So I'm not being naive and saying they're not saying shit at all. I'm just saying the songwriting from beginning to end on these tracks isn't overly powerful and strong. Like, there weren't moments where I went, oh shit, I had to rewind and catch that bar again, or I thought they said something crazy, or they took a unique approach, or the concept was insane. I really didn't get that, and I think if they had more of that, that is something that would have helped make this probably one of my favorites of the year, man, because I did still like this quite a bit. You guys just know by now that I go really hard for content. That's something that usually helps uplift a project. It's not the only thing, and there have been obviously exceptions to this rule, but in this instance, I really would have liked to have more of that from them. But as it is, man, it's still a pretty fun project. You also get some great features on here, like on the song Trippin', we have Kalani fitting in perfectly with this beat that sounds like something out of the 90s, almost has sort of an Aaliyah feel to it, so it's a smooth R&B joint. You get Young Thug fitting in perfectly on the song Proud of You, because he's known for bringing those wild vocal styles, and that's what all three of them are doing on this track. Also getting some pretty cool guitar, bassy production here that was nice. And they even managed to get that early T-Pain on Tequila. I'm talking like, what, 2005 to 2010 T-Pain, around that time. Maybe not even all the way to 2010, but that Buy You a Drink style T-Pain, you know what I'm saying? They got him on Tequila. This beat sounds like something out of a Desperado movie or a spy movie, something like that, so it had a pretty cool sound. Just by far the three best features on the album, and I think they did fit in perfectly with what they were doing, so they were well placed. And as I said, it really is just the songwriting, the concepts, the topics, the subject matter that didn't hit me that hard, and that's why I am going to go with a 3.5 out of 5. I was close to a 4, because I really did like a lot of the production. I did like those crazy vocal styles, some of their flows and cadences, just a lot of fun to listen to. It's very unique, and I especially like that jazz lounge joint Blue Moon. This has just sort of a very trippy, cool, laid-back feel to it. You get those jazz flutes coming in, as well as some of the album's best vocals on the hook. Really fun track. I just feel like, you know, this one started off really well. There's just this blazing start to this album. I was really intrigued, but as it went on, it kind of meandered and started to taper off for the most part. So that's why a 3.5 out of 5 feels fair to me. But you guys hit me up in the comments section to let me know what you think. And of course, make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff where you show me love and you show me lots of it. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.